Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to an installment of I don't know. The gentleman that you will see throughout the extent of this video long predates the It Came From the Workbench series. Not only that, he has died and been reborn more than once. The gentleman in question is Rover, who was initially built over 3 years ago. Just because I built foolishly. I wanted a green Defender with a white roof. So over the period of several weeks and months, because at that time the channel made no money at all. Affording this was it probably took 4 months to put all the body parts together, because even at that time, if you want to build a Traxxas Defender body piece by piece, you end up spending like $200, particularly if you put the big metal grill on it, which I had to have, and then the bumpers, the metal bumpers, which I had to have, and then the window grates, which I had to have. And then what I eventually ended up doing is one of his predecessors, who would much later go on to become Jolly Green, began life as a red-bodied TRX-4 Defender. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want to take all of his parts off. Yeah, all those parts are in a bin right behind me. All I needed to buy was this plastic part. I could have salvaged all of the other pieces off of the red body, but that is neither here nor there. It is lost to the sands of time. So he was disassembled because he wasn't sparking joy, right? This went up into the rafters. Parts got distributed out among the fleet. Then you fast forward a year and a half later, 2 years later, because 2022 and we're almost to 2026. So like 3.5 years ago, I decided, you know what we should do? We should rebuild him. So another vehicle that was not really sparking joy, I had built a Canyon replica of the Banana from Matt's Off-Road Recovery on effectively the same sort of platform. So what is under this body now, most of what is down here was the Banana. So all of the parts that were originally under him were from a Gatekeeper kit, back when Element was kind enough to sell us the Gatekeeper kit, which gave you way too much for your money. These parts of a Gatekeeper kit are not the parts of the Gatekeeper kit that were under him. Those are all, I want to say the axles are under misdirection. Who knows where the gearbox is? Everything got distributed around. Luckily, because I have an inner hoarder, an unstoppable inner hoarder, I had taken the specific pieces, like the body mounts that I had made, the bumper adapters to adapt a Traxxas Defender body to an Element platform, including the front Traxxas body mount, which had to be whittled and shaved to fit into Element rails, and the bodget together with bolts, sliders that allow me to attach the body with just magnets and Velcro. I had just thrown all of that just into here. The body is not light. Full fenders attached. Old style Defender, full lighting kit. Somewhere around here is the controller module into which this plugs. I'll try to find it. I would love to find it so that I can turn the Traxxas light kit back on, but I have not seen it in some many moons. His lights have not been actuated in several years. So after I decided to put them back together, we grabbed whatever. The Banana was on a Fox belly. The Fox belly is now in Gumby, our Capra axled H10 conversion. This is the motor that was in the Banana, which is a 1800 kV, what I call Legacy Fusion, the one that's kind of big. He is reasonably well outfitted. As I said, mostly Banana, like banana from about here forward, and then the Gate Rover bits slapped on. Gate Rover, Gatekeeper, Land Rover. And then we had to just throw whatever link we could find because, once again, we were in the position of building to a body. So the wheelbase has to fit. We've got a delicious rear pumpkin angle. That's not going to touch anything. The front pumpkin angle is pretty good. We are caster flipped. We are caster flip. One hole caster flip. That should be plenty because Gate Rover was reborn into a new life. Because in between his second-ish demise, we built a whole other rig out of much of his old parts. And that became the Ghost Rover. He's over there in his garage. When we decided to put this guy back together, it was because in that amount of time, I had discovered trailing. And the reason that he came apart was because, I mean, he's not light. He's a chunky boy. And when I discovered trailing, these kinds of things are, that's why the insides of his windows are so dirty. These kinds of things are absolutely perfect. But when we reassembled him, we were like, oh, you know, maybe one of the kids will drive it. And one of my kids has driven it a couple times out on our trailing days. He has not been trailified. So today, he gets trailified to the point where we've got the whiteboard. We've got the whiteboard. There's our checklist. We want to checklist it. Do not discount that last one. The D-squeak is probably the most important thing that you can do to a trail rig, followed by stainlessification. I don't know if he has a single stainless fastener on him. No. I'm going to go ahead and say no, he does not. Every single screw on this vehicle will be replaced. I will not be documenting all of it. I will show some of it. The wheel and tire solution on here right now are OG Voodoo KLRs before they called them V1, V2, anything. Do you see that at one point, due to the offset of the wheel, do you see that we had a little front tire problem? This is where we're thankful that we weren't running anything like, you know, Vanquish or something, because we would have just carved the inside of that tire open like a can opener. Also, the insert is, it's a silicone. It's a silicone. It's a bit too stiff to this thickness of carcass. And luckily, we have very recently tested a tire, so replacing the wheels and tires is going to be very easy. I was so hopeful for these, and they absolutely delivered. The Power Hobby Defender. Why would you replace these KLRs with these? This is a fully symmetrical tire. It did far better than anyone would have anticipated on rock. It absolutely perfectly fits an Injora green because it has a 3.5 millimeter thick carcass. Again, we're going with a thick carcass. But I can just throw this to any corner. You take a tire off, you put a tire on. Directional tires are going to last less long on a trail vehicle that puts miles on. And these did extraordinarily well on rock, far better than they should have. And they should be absolutely well set. And it's Defender on a Defender. So that was easy to do. And we've got wheels with a little bit better of an offset. These deeps are a little too deep. This carve came from when he was on, they're just flat-faced. His old wheels were white to kind of match the white on the body. They pushed the wheels in too much. You can see that knuckle is never going to get anywhere close to that tire now. But he definitely got driven on narrower wheels. And what was the other one? Yeah. That's the other front. You can see the carve line on there. They'll be fine. But a KLR is, to me, far better suited to having not a silicone in it. Like you can see, as I think someone pointed out, it looks like the beads are holding on for their dear life. They'll be better suited on a vehicle better suited to that tire. So, starting from the top, wheels and tires right there. We are going to replace the X with what I believe to be the best trailing gearbox that there is, the Stealth XF, because everything is completely sealed. The motor attaches to the little plate here, the lid goes on, the motor's right out here and out of the front. They are as close to maintenance free as you can get. It's not a 2-speed, but that's an 1800 on straight axles, which is way too spicy for rock crawling. We do have that low speed control, but it's perfect for something that's going to head out on the trails. We can get a little bit rowdy, and we still have that low speed control. Legacy Fusion 1800, also nearly perfect. We were going to replace the factory team shocks with a set of GTS. Why? Why would you do that? Because the factory team shocks are thinner overall. They are basically the same size around as the spring. I'm going to swap all of those springs directly onto these because I would love to run them upside down. And these cannot be run upside down because the steering hits the shock and the top of the shock is far too big. You'll eliminate a bunch of your steering throw if you run them upside down. I also have a place that I think is better suited to those factory teams. Those are fantastic shocks. I would say that in terms of overall smoothness and length of maintenance interval, I would say that the factory teams are above the GTS, but not for the application that I have them suited for. I want to be able to run them upside down just like that, and I want to have to not worry about them. When we install the XF, it's going to put the motor right here. So this brace goes. That is going to make it such that the only thing bracing the front end is this, and that's not going to do anything. That's not going to brace the front end at all. We can't put a brace that's too low because we are servo on axle. So somewhere up here in the front, if the motor doesn't extend to these 2 screw holes, I will most likely just put an aluminum brace right across there, because if you don't and you take a suitable tumble, these C-channels are not that thick and you will just twist it. Then we'll get into stainlessification, which I will blissfully not make you sit through in its entirety because it's a lot. I get 2 bins out, one that has all the stainless in it and one that has the black oxide, and I do it the most tedious but most time-conserving way, which is I put one driver in this and one driver in this. I use this for removal, and I go, that's a 10. And I grab this guy and I go, 10. Other one, other one, other one, other one. I just one at a time. Because otherwise you end up with a pile of screws and you go, what length was that one? What length was that one? So, it's fun to, it's tedious to the point of violence. It takes like an hour. But we get the music going, everything's great. The drive shafts. I'm not talking about putting like steel drive shafts or anything on him because I don't have ones that are the correct length, but I believe that I hodgepodged his drive shafts. I don't want to see that much spline exposure. You can see that from full extension to, oh, we got something a little loose up there. From full extension to full compression, we're talking 4 or 5 millimeters. So these halves need to be different. I need to take a look at them. They need to be waxed. We've got our wax over there. That's part of the D-squeak. So wax on the drive shafts and any exposed parts. Oh, the XF is going to get ghost gear. I was making an order. I was spinning around. I was spinning around like a dog. I was making an order from HRP, and they had a bunch of the J Concepts lubricants on sale. And I don't buy hobby-specific lubricants. I use CRC CV joint grease on almost everything. Super lube, Teflon lube. I don't buy these little tiny, extremely expensive tins of grease. And I don't know what came over me. But I bought it because it said for plastic to plastic, gear to gear assembly. And I was like, we're going to build a Stealth X or XF or multiple Stealth X and XFs with white friction grease. I mean, in my head, I'm like, it's white. It's going to be white lithium. It's just going to be white lithium, isn't it? We're going to tear this open, And we're going to go, it's white lithium grease, isn't it? I mean, friction and gear and noise reducing gear grease. Ooh. It's a little, I just got some on my nose. It is very, very lightly scented, and when I say that, I don't mean that it has a light odor. I mean it is lightly scented. They definitely, I'm wiping grease off the tip of my nose. They definitely put something in there. It has a sweetness to it, and grease doesn't smell sweet. Ryan Mayfield Momentum RM2 Ghost Gear Grease. I will take you up on your claims. So, that is what we're going to go through. If we want to check the first box, we do it like this. All this stuff has to come out anyway. Not mentioned on the sheet. I honestly did as well. Prior to the testing of these, I was ready. I was raring to go to put Louise Gravel Stage on here, just because they would look super dope. These will be going on a trail rig. I'm not 100% sure whom, but they're getting these Gravel Stage, because I think those Gravel Stage, again, fully asymmetrical, I think they will be absolutely tremendous. Not a dedicated rock crawling tire, I said that during the review of them, but competent enough on rock that when I'm selecting a trailing tire, I do have a different set of qualifications. Like, I don't think you're going to see me fitting X2SS to anything out there that's going to be more of a dedicated trail guy. We dabble in rock crawling. We don't get into anything super hardcore. If we're going to get into more difficult stuff when we're out on trails and out in locations that aren't the canyon, we've got a couple buggies for that. So wheels and tires, there we go. And Defenders, Trials, Injora Greens. Ooh, I think I need, oh yeah. I need to replace that. That was basically, and that's, all that does is hold the battery in. So we should probably do that. I have honestly been contemplating, depending on how the front brace situation works out, I'm contemplating, this is going to be the counterpart to my wife's G-Wagon TRX4 Jade. So I have genuinely been contemplating converting them both to just running on 2200s and then just carrying spare batteries. Because I usually fit this guy with like a 3600 LIHV, and the wife has a 5200 amidships, and then an additional 2200 battery backup in the front. I don't think either of them are heavy enough or power hungry enough to really need batteries that big. And I would like to gear them a little, like we have our different, we now have trios. We have a trio of couples. My wife has Sheila and I have Bruce, FMS FJ40s. Then she has Jade, her aforementioned G-Wagon, and I will have Gate Rover. And then we have two matching buggies. She's got Yukio, and I have one that is currently, was called Ghoulie Moo, but was kind of named in jest, and I feel like it's going to come into a more Marvel name. I don't know what that name is yet. He'll come into character of it. So I want these to be the mid-level of performance. We have pure trail vehicles. So these are both full bumpered, full fendered, all that stuff. I want these two to be a little more performance than slapping a giant battery on one side and ruining the weight distribution. So we will determine if we're going to go down to 2200s. I'm still waiting. We're waiting for that next unknown evolution of battery technology where the 2200s are the same size that 1500s were like 2 years ago. So how long will it be before like a 2800/3000 is just a hair bigger than a 2200 was? We just keep waiting. Each combo, these are $290. So the full set of 4, $11.65. We're a good ways past the kilo of wheelos. That is 2.56 pounds. And you know what? We don't have any problem with that. Do you know why we don't have any problem with that? Oh, that's right. It has a gas can on the back. Oh, we can get him upside down. Here we go. There's more than one way to do this. That body weighs 2 pounds. 1.95 pounds. So these cancel out this. This, as it sits right now, ooh, I do have a curiosity. This will be precarious to weigh these on a foam. Currently, 1980. So 2,000 grams, 4.5 pounds? 4.4 pounds. 2 pounds here, 2.5 pounds here. So, are you doing the math in your head? Like it's 9 pounds. This thing's 9 pounds. And we're trying to get some amount of split that doesn't look terrible when it's out on the rocks because there's no battery. So as we're flirting with 9 pounds with no other changes, you can see why I'm thinking, 2200 pack on there, turning it into unsprung weight would probably be great. Maybe peeling that Velcro off is not going to be the worst thing. Battery shrinkification right down below stainlessification. We don't know. So wheels and tires, check. That's done. They're right there. I knew that I was going to be changing the wheel because those old ones a little too deep. We were getting particularly while steering, the tires were rubbing on the edges. They're actually like worn smooth on the insides of those fenders. So we've got to do X to XF. And to do X to XF, we have to take off everything. Everything. The way the system is oriented. I mean, drive shafts have to come off anyway because I don't feel like they're the correct lengths. I have to look inside the XF to see what gears it was built with. Yeah, it's just that one of the halves isn't the right length. The slider piece is correct. This looks like, I think these are axial. I will probably build this guy fresh to him drive shafts out of Vanquish pieces, meaning disassemble these, reuse the end bits, reuse the CVDs. Let me guess. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not exceptionally long. He definitely had a rock or something up under the belly for a while there. We'll find out. Like, I have no recollection of what underdrive setup is in here. 12% would be fine. If the box is built with 6, that's also fine. Not mentioned on the list, but will be occurring, is I assembled a pair of Mias high clearance links to replace these, primarily just because I grabbed links out of the bin to match the wheelbase, and these are aluminum. I do make a conscious effort not to run aluminum lower links. Aluminum upper links, awesome. Aluminum lower links, aluminum is draggy. It will drag on rock more than others. What's the best, you ask? Well, it's titanium. Jeez, Lou. Sometimes I've got to go plier. But titanium is not going to be significantly better than brass. It is better, but brass, particularly when selected for a lower, it's hard to complain about brass because you have that weight down so low. I don't see any real drawbacks from a brass lower. Titanium does slide a little bit better, and it is a lot lighter. But, jeez. Give that little wiggle. It's almost like the size that they are isn't the precise size. There's that rear body mount. That rear body mount is the MVP right now. And as I mentioned, everything has got to come out because when we put the, I mean, call it a conversion, I guess. When we put the conversion on to mount a Defender to a Gatekeeper, these little side pieces, they are, let's call them suboptimal. They're not the perfect answer to this question. So I'll strip this out. This is, yeah. If you can just hold on to the lock nut, it's not really a lock nut anymore. So they go directly into the circular file. While I have this pulled apart, we can add another little bit that's not on the list, which is these are the side pieces from a Gatekeeper. The trailing arms would attach right there. I genuinely prefer a rear four-link, regardless of what the application is, whether it be trailing, whether it be rock crawling. Trailing arms are few and far between here. And we have a Zool here that is still fitted with the trailing arms. So if I remove trailing arms from this one, I don't feel like, I'm like, oh no. Now we've made something that's just like everything else. Everything's a little different. Will we move the electronics? Maybe. I don't know. See how this lock nut does. Like, I've got grip strength, but it's not that high. This one, I get this feeling. Yeah, that guy's still good. He's still got his zest. Now the front end's going to try to fall off. Conversely, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can feel it. That M3x20. Also, circular file. So while every screw is going to be replaced, every screw... Oh, there's the inside of that head. There we go. While every screw is being replaced, certainly every screw does not live all the way through the process. Half completed thought from earlier. I will quite very likely take these over. What did I glue them? How are these held together? Tape. I think that's why I haven't cut this part off. Usually I cut that part off. I will dig through my bins. I don't know if I have anything better than that. These don't really... I'm not a slider guy. These need to extend out past the body like another 4 or 5 millimeters because we're still getting some little rips. I might have to put some really thin right there too. Might have to put some drift stitches on it to try to increase the lifespan of that body. Now, I believe there's a case. There's a receiver box. Now I'm trying to remember. Okay, that's a 10. Gotta loosen some more spots up to get the gearbox all the way out because the spacers hold them real tight. Oh, this part's not going in. We have to take that out to clear the XF. Okay. I'm going to get the XF out. And to do that, we have to open up the receiver box. We have to unplug everything. Let's see if we can drop this out. There we go. But we can't move it because the servo's still plugged in. I'm going to get this Stealth X pulled apart. Did it even have a slipper in it? And then we're going to start on the process of getting the XF mounted. Yes. Sleeper. Nice, feels smooth. Still feels smooth. There is little evidence of dirt and grit in there because the fusions have, see those little slots? They're like, they go right in. So I can see sand down below the pinion. it should be less of an issue when it's up here, because if stuff does get through the holes, it'll just fall down into there. I'm tempted to drill a drain hole in the bottom of it. It won't really fall into gears, because they're up here, up high. So, pardon me as I disassemble. Do I have a couple? I have a couple other receiver boxes. This one seems to be okay. We got some. Did I get all four? Yeah. Got some parts to pull. Got some parts to move around. We're gonna get the XF assembled. I have it opened up right now because they need to be stainless. If you've not seen inside a Stealth XF, this is how they work. And when it's installed in the vehicle, you can remove 4 screws and the entire top end of the gearbox just comes off. You can re-lubricate it with the drive shafts installed. I mean, it's really clever. The only real drawback with the Stealth XF is that as Element / Thunder Tiger / Team Associated has been moving forward in time, what they've been doing is shrinkflating. When you get one of these now, this intermediate gear right here is plastic, and the spur gear is plastic, and that doesn't work. They will blow up. They will, even on stock power. You get a wheel bound up, you can blow one up. And then this one does indeed have the kit out drives. You can tell because this one has the lightened look to it. Oh, look at that. There's only 2 screws. Okay. Do we have all, and we have 2 screws on each in the front. All right. We should probably address that. I need to get all of the electronics moved away. We'll check to see. That front feels great. That's definitely shimmed. That rear feels great. I mean, these, wow. That's fluid. That's real nice. I don't know if I'll even bother to pop those apart. It's just 2 screws to swap these in. So the next time you see this, I should have the bottom end installed so we can get to greasing it, installing the motor, figuring out what's going to clear and what's going to not. I'll get everything. I'll begin a little bit of the stainlessification. I'll have to get these reinstalled. I'll get my Element bin out for any parts that I might need. I might change his servo mount because I have a fancier looking one. You know, sometimes we change things for the way they look. After we've got this motor attached to this gearbox, we can find out if 2200 up front is even possible. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of checks. 2200 on the side will be okay. I'd like to get them to 2200s, but on the servo would be optimal. All right. X to XF we're working on right now. I'm going to drop the shocks at the same time. It's not a process. You take a screw out there and you take a screw out there and you take the shock off. Then we take these springs and we put them on these shocks, and then we have them ready to put back in the same spot because it seems to be sprung appropriately, and we're going to operate from there. We're not adding any weight. If anything, we're going to take off a tiny little bit of weight, not a lot. We'll get to the drive shafts later. We'll see what the front brace looks like after the XF is in. Stainlessification, as I said. And then the de-squeak will be the final thing. And then you'll see them out on the trails probably much sooner than later. That's why I'm doing this right now. All right, we've jumped not a lot, honestly, because I said we needed to swap that X to XF. I went to mount it, and then I was like, you have the bag with all the brand new parts that you didn't need to order. That's a completely different story. Just bolted that bottom in. Easy. Because it's a Stealth XF, we can just drop those parts into there. Then, because so many fasteners had to come out, the shocks had to come off, it was easy to just convert them over to GTS. And now that they're GTS, we're full, like that's road grader steering. We're all the way over. So while I was swapping fasteners, I located a titanium link that is much closer to the length we need. We had about 4 millimeters of thread on either side. I replaced those and then just began going at it. I had a factory team C-hub on one side and a black one on the other. I don't have any factory team C-hubs. It is added to my mental list that I will forget immediately. So I took another plastic one. I trimmed the panhard mount off, as we're never going to need it, and that allows me access to the lower mounting point on the shock. And then I just started going. I've replaced every screw that I can. I know that there are at least 3 black oxide screws remaining. These are M4x4. I don't have that in stainless. I don't have that. So those have got to stay where they are. And then, you probably see, black, silver, silver. I can't get to it. When I stuck the receiver box down, it's not... Oh, I tried getting it off, and it is not coming off. There was another thing that should be on the list, also not on the list. The other links went on just fine. On the one hand, the rear pinion angle looks crazy. On the other hand, I think it looks fine. The front looks excellent. Not on the list. I have to pair this to my trail radio because I have my large, heavy, overcomplicated radio with the fittings for recording. It's the power for the cooler for the GoPro. That is my trail radio, of course, the heaviest one that I happen to have. So we're going to pair it to this. So that radio will have Bruce, my buggy, Economoo, and the Gate Rover, and my wife's radio has her buggy, her slightly more capable, and her FJ40. So also these, yeah, I just remembered those N2. These are M3x14. I managed to find 2 of them. I can't do the other 2. I did remember to do all the screws that hold the shackles on. Why not? That's important. And and the big head, and then nutted them on the back so that those can't try to rotate on us. When I mentioned that I found more appropriate titanium, I put a captive end on one end so that we're just blitz ball end on this side. That's like a slipper clutch for your steering. If you get something really bound up, instead of the servo breaking your front end, it'll just pop that loose. Because I had to cut this down so much, you see they're very shiny now, I just filleted them with super glue and then accelerator inside and out, because currently that's the only thing holding the front end together. And even when we had this brace, I think that the splits that were starting to form there is because, you know, you put that, you get a nice strike on there. These are not going to manage. What I should do is find somebody clearing out an alloy Traxxas mount and then grind that guy down, mount an alloy one in here. Again, we'll file it on the mental list to be forgotten at my leisure. So we've got our XF here. Had one screw in it to keep it from falling apart. Got the main here. That looks like the 18%. It is. That's 2555. I think this is a fortunate moment because there's only 2 screws in that. I have to try to find more. This actually works out for us though, because what are we thinking? Are we thinking 6? Oh boy, that's the 18%. This one looks like an 18% gear. It is. Oh, I got a bunch of 18% now. So I think that in here I still got a 2654, which is 12%. I have tons of 2753s. Let's just start building a totem of 2753s until we can find 26. And hopefully during that time I will come to do a determination as to whether or not I want to go. There's 2654. I don't think there's still a 2852 in here. I mean, the tower, the growing tower of 2753s leads me to think I should probably just put 6.5% in it. But there's a 2852. Then I have to find and there's another 2654. Oh no, we're okay. We're okay. as long as we're not using up the last one. I do not run the 6.5% very often. Oh, there's another 26. There's another 27. How high can we go? There's another 2654. Okay. So now we need to find, there we go. And I need to find, shout out Element at the time, the early days when they just, see, this is how gears, this is how all gears should come. The 27 meshes with the 53. And you just find your gears and you put them together. Oh, that one's got some unintentional heat treat. I mean, look at the difference. It's odd. Okay, I've got a 2852. I know I've got a 2852. I'm hoping for a steel 2852. Just for, I'm 100% on board with the plastic outputs, the nylon outputs, particularly these nylon. I've never really had any issue with the plastic they've gone to now. As you can see, it's very different. But I really prefer the older Stealths with the nylon gears and the metal input gears. Idler gears, I guess they are. Let me guess. Is this guy the 28? Yeah, it's 2852. Okay, so we only have to change, really, we only have to change one gear. But we're not gonna. We're gonna change two gears. We're gonna put this 2852 and this 2654 on. It's probably mental, but I trust. I'm just gonna leave one out. Very dicey sounding. I trust the nylon. I mean, they fully still could be nylon, just a different grade of nylon. 6.6 nylon looks, in natural, looks pretty much just like that. It'll make it a lot easier to make sure that things are installed correctly, though, because it's going to be impossible to get metal and plastic confused. In theory. Bearing, spacer, bearing, press them together. And some of these XF parts fit together real tight. Real tight. Get this dropped in. Blip. And this is the beauty of the XF to me. Oh, does that feel like right there? There's something in the tooth of that 52. Yes, there is. So the recommended practice by me is brass bristled brush, and you'll notice by my furry hand, get it completely cleaned off on the teeth like this. Just kind of go along with the teeth. It'll get anything out that it picked up in the bins from residual grease, and then right before you're done, drop it and let it roll across the floor. So then you get to do it all over again. And now it's got spider webs in it. But spider webs should be powerful, so we do the same thing. I want to see that thing roll with, God, it's butt ropes. That's all I can think about. It's butt rope, hands in butt ropes. I don't want to see any resistance at all. I've never had an issue with having to shim one of these. There's always a little bit of play on the idler shaft, but one gear really can't. If anything, it's going to lag forward, and the big gear can't reach that gear no matter what. So that is greaseless. It seems pretty good. It seems pretty good. Let us get ourselves a little brush. Make sure that it hasn't picked up any anything terrible. Get our expensive, good smelling grease. And we'll just, well, that gobbled it right up. This would not, this is a quantity that would not last. I'm basically just going to try to apply it all the way across the idlers. And then hopefully it will distribute. A little bit in between there. Because we have, now, am I an over-greaser? Yes. Anytime I'm dealing with anything that's all metal to metal, yeah, grease, lots. That is a safe, sane, realistic amount of grease. Honestly, let's be fair. If you are someone that could be classified as normal, that little bit of grease right there is going to last a good long while. I could use that grease up in probably a day. If I went around and did the periodic maintenance that I don't do, that I should do, I would go through this whole thing of grease. I've never had a grease smell good before. It's really weirding me out. We're just getting a little bit on this interface here. We'll scoop up some of the existing grease. It's just, we've over-greased. We've over-greased! It's fine. We're going to grease spur, pinion, and intermediate gear. Again, one of the great strengths of the XF gearbox. Before we do that, we can bolt the halves down. Just snaps right down, and the whole gearbox is held together with 310s and 225s, which we have replaced black oxide with stainless. And from the factory, it's 310s and 227s. Another instance of, I don't have 27s in stainless. Traxxas absolutely loves M3x27, but I used up all the M3x27s on a TRX4. So we got to go M3x25. Are we worried? Not particularly. And so far, so good. So far, so good. We'll see once it's got drive shafts on it. We have mounted the motor to the plate. Again, another strength of the XF gearbox is if you're a guy that doesn't like to set gear mesh. Oh, you thought we only bought one? No. There was another grease for metal to metal, which this is my application for CV joint grease. But again, sometimes I can't stop myself. This smells exactly like CV joint grease. That could be CV joint grease. If that is CV joint grease, well, we'll see. It might have a little more stand up to it. Okay. It's not CV joint grease. This is heavy grease. Like, it's like, when you there's leftover cake from an event, you bring it home and you put it in the fridge. This is frosting that's been in the fridge. This is thick and dense. I have, if not high hopes, I have hopes. We're going to get some on us. There's no way around it. It looks like it peaks pretty well. It doesn't look like it's going to sling because it's pretty thick. Then for this one, I have to get up in there. You kind of got to pack it into the teeth because the grease is so stiff. Maybe the stiffest grease I've experienced, and Like, you can paint it in and almost just close out the teeth. The thing that, why I'm not a huge fan of most lithium greases, lithium-based greases, that includes red and tacky, that includes any number of other greases. It's that lithium base. In my experience, they don't adhere on to the gear long enough. You will eventually sling that grease off, usually sooner than later. You open up the gearbox or you open up a diff after, you know, a couple months of running, and there's no trace of grease left on the gears. Then we pick out 4 screws to replace the black oxide. And I only dropped 1. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but I did. I got some substance that I've been working with in my eye, right eye, and I rubbed my eye with my knuckle, you know, with the knuckle, because it was really itching, and I rubbed it with the knuckle, and I thought we would be safe. Oh, it would be an absolute squeeze to get a 2200 up there. I might have a bent bracket already. I do. Ooh, I mean, it looks like it'll fit. Need a 2200 as well while we're at it. Because what if at full compression, oh, it just fits. I mean, that's in there tight. Oh, wait. Is it or isn't it? The fenders. This is a Defender. We have all the fenders, and we're running Defenders on this Defender now. I mean, it's kind of almost perfect up in there. I mean, I got a commitment. I feel committed to the 2200 life. I just picked this up. There's an ant on it. Look at him. Look at him. So yeah, I think I'm just going to use this tray too. I can't remember who sacrificed this tray. We just swapped it out of somebody. Clean it up with alcohol. We'll use servo tape. We'll servo tape it down just like this. We'll put a little zip tie on there to try to contain the wiring a little bit. We have to, oh, maybe it's got charge in it, and we can use it to bind the radio. Because I don't know, can I get that out? If there's a weakness to the radio link receivers, it's my overall ham-handedness, which is I will often just start yanking on it, and the tape, despite the Wotech being the absolute true and only solution to sticking down electronics in my estimation, it is grabby enough to just pull the bottom off of the servo case. We got away clean this time. It's going to be a lot easier to reach that little bind button with this taken apart. So let me bind this. Spare you from the long sequence of beeps. Need to interrupt myself here for a little bit of my own madness. I want you to listen. Hear that rhythmic? Goes away. Completely goes away. All that sound is there is you're hearing the gear mesh. You're hearing the gear mesh in the top end, metal to metal. You're not hearing the bottom end at all. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm going to shim it. I'm going to shim it. Oh. Okay. We're really going to have to figure out that brace because the battery takes up the whole spot. There's a, like, I can feel it. It's as if the gears are not sitting down. This is a little bit of a new one for me. All right, before we get any further, I need to explain the interim period, the period that we're just coming out of right now, which was that noise. That noise coming out of the gearbox. I didn't know what to make of it. It is not one that I've experienced from an X or an XF before. So, we went all in on it. And while we were going all in on it, we kind of bounced around. I was like, well, servo tape to stick that down, throw a little bit of Velcro in it. Optimally, it should be a little narrower. So we get a little bind up right here in the front. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be noticeable. What went on inside the gearbox? Let's slap a battery in it. I got a 1300 that's got a fair amount of charge in it, so I'm going to pop this guy in here. So, it had that real rhythmic clatter to it. And it looked like just a loosey-goosey situation. So I ended up completely disassembling the entire XF, and against my own better judgment, I didn't just replace all the plastics with the new plastics I've got over there. So the only new plastic on here is the lower. Brand new. No scratches. So I replaced all bearings inside the box. There is a 0.5 millimeter Traxxas, what are they, Teflon shim on the idler shaft on the back end of it. Then on the output shaft, the lay shaft, there is 0.35 millimeters of shim on the back bearing side, so right back here. That is a 0.2 millimeter shim and a 0.15 millimeter shim. You can find them on Amazon occasionally. There are these shim variety packs that have like 0.1s, 0.15s, 0.2s, 0.3s, 0.5s. It's nice, little bags of them. They're not terribly expensive, and if you get into the weeds over little noises that start to drive you crazy, they can take them away. And then perhaps most importantly, it looks like this, but it's not this. This is natural Delrin. This one is a little thick. That's about 1 millimeter. There's one that looks just like this, but it is 0.6 millimeters thick, and it is between the nose bearing on the output and between the carrier itself. And the result is so this is full drivetrain, and most of the noise is still right here, right up in the metal on metal area. That's as quiet as I can get it. I don't know, I genuinely do not know if the body is going to amp it or quiet it down. I feel like it's probably going to quiet it down because the body weighs 2 pounds and it's got a lot going on. And the body still, as of this moment, has no hobby foam in it. And I am not averse to putting hobby foam in it if it will quiet down it even a little bit more. So the battery, as I said, just clears, just fits. Oh, yes. I discovered this guy on the front axle. See the split right through there? That would have been great. So that has been replaced. I think all the bolts are done. I have recently spent entirely too much money on Mias stainless steel drive shafts because my favorite drive shaft when building a vehicle are Vanquish plastics. because you mix and match the ends, you can get exactly what you need. I have the front to about, like one end could be 2 millimeters longer, and then the rear is pretty much optimized. We could go about 1 more millimeter. But that means that the insert in there is end to end. It's not going to fall out. It's not going to twist. It's not going to snap. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be durable. I think I really got into the weeds of it. So, drive shafts, check. Front brace, I don't know. Something will occur to me. We took out all the space. I can potentially get an aluminum plate under these two. It's not optimal. I was also looking this existing hole, see if we can get it to line up so we get light through both. I think we can probably get a bar right across there. I don't know if that's going to help because that's so far away. We might end up having to fabricate a hoop that goes outside to outside, and we'll lock nut it and it goes over, because I do want to stiffen that up, but we also have to dodge the fenders. It's one that I'm going to have to look at. So all that remains before this thing goes out and experiences, we have our two necessities. We've got Bike Aid and we've got Smooth or Squirt, whatever wax you like. And a lot of these hollow balls are new to the vehicle because I dug through the drawers of links and there were some links. The upper links were just in the drawer. I didn't have to make those. They already existed. And if I can find a link pre-existing, I'm going to use it. We are going to do wax at all universal points, and we are going to do molly. I still refuse to say it correctly. It's molybdenum. I know that it's molybdenum, but I don't like molybdenum. It doesn't feel fun in my mouth. Endpoints are 103, 103 on that particular Flash Hobby servo, which I think is pretty okay. It means we're getting all of it. Anywhere there's a pivot ball, you put the sauce, and so long as you're putting the sauce on some couple hours before you drive it, night before is best. The carrier solvent will all evaporate, and what will be left behind is just that layer of moly, and you will get no squeaks. Let's cycle it in. Now what will happen, invariably, we'll use a paper towel so I don't have to carry it on me, is you will pick it up from the middle, and you'll get the moly. It'll get on you. And it's not, let's say it shares a familial similarity with anti-seize in that you get a little bit on you and then you're like, how are my hands all black? It's all over that finger. Here's some over here. Here's some over there, because I picked it up and it gets around. Is it a heavy metal? Yeah. Should I be absorbing it into my flesh? Probably not. But I figure by the time I cash in, I figure I'm going to be more microplastic than I am person. I put a big glop in there. Give it a little spin. Got that fusion control. We let it fill up. And what I try to do is not sling it off. Don't put the pepper. We want that wax to sit there like that. Big glorb of it. Go around. And it's the same exact thing. That carrier will evaporate. Sometimes I lack patience. And by sometimes I mean effectively all the time. We can take a Q-tip and we can kind of move If it looks like there's a lot too much, see, that's already soaking down in. Nice. Penetration. Get it down in there. This one's doing it as well. If you feel like you overfilled it, you can wipe a little bit off. It'll act like a cleaner as well, the solvent, because we've got to upend it so that we can get the other end. And then whatever you do, don't let me forget that I need to do the universals in the front axle. And you don't have to repeat this super often. This isn't like an every time you come in off the trails thing. I can generally get, say you're driving weekly, let's say like 3 months between reapplications of both the wax and the moly. And it's even easier here. We get out of frame and we glop it. Get in the U shape. Right in there. Give it a little gas. Flip it around. Do the other side. And avoid the temptation in this configuration to give it any amount of throttle beyond barely moving. And if you're on the outside of it, you can kind of move it around. It's not going to do anything out on those points. We want it inside on that barrel, because there's something about being out there. Not on the course. On the course, I don't mind it as much. But when I'm away from the course, and you can see how dirty this stuff is, when you get outside, when we're outside the canyon, those little squeaks, oh my goodness, they get me in the soul. So that's all there is to it. Do that. We lost the plug for that long ago. Six out of 7 is not bad. I will take it. Oh, leftovers from the very expensive, but I would absolutely do it again, Traxxas stainless steel kit. And I just realized I didn't replace those because they use those big round heads. Those Traxxas ones will probably, they have a little fat head on them. They might not fit. We'll leave those alone for now, but Traxxas, again, as I mentioned, very expensive. The, what do they call it? Stainless steel hardware kit. Replaces all chassis hardware used on a TRX4. I have a lot of stainless hardware here, so I did not have to use every last piece. But if we've got leftover brand new stainless steel wheel nuts, don't mind if I do. They're not serrated on the back, which my preference is serrated. I know some people refuse to use serrated because they don't like how they bite into their wheels. I get it. I get it. I would prefer them not fall off. But these have, this is it. They just came out of that package. These are full strength on the nylon. Never been done. Bow. And stainless. Sitting up. So my hope is, well, here's the deal. Of the vehicles that go out on the trailing expeditions, the participants of Wheelin' Wednesday, I've got 3, the wife's got 3. We have a couple supporting members in case we harangue the kids into going with us. I've got 2 straight axles and a portal. The wife has 1 straight axle and 2 portals. And I'm not concerned about clearance on this because our buddies, the Defenders here, are proper 475s. So our ground clearance should be great. As I mentioned, I moved all of the suspension directly over. Something's going to happen here. You're going to see it. Which is, I found that little module. Found it. And it is genuine Traxxas. It is a thing that we do not do anymore. My choice and source for basically all my LED needs now are Mias, because they got everything. Rock lights, roof racks, bar lights, ditch lights, rock light, all of them. And inexpensive. Pretty much all of them come with a controller unit so that you can attach it to an unused channel of your radio, or use I just call them plexers. It's one Futaba plug on one end, and it has the female for like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 on the other end. So you can plug all your lights in, run them off one switch, or you can put your rock lights on one switch and your other lights on another switch. It's just luxurious. Bruce can't turn his lights off. Neither can Gate Rover, which this had genuinely never occurred to me before. There's not enough space on the radio link, so I put him in as Grover. I know Grover is like blue, but this Grover is green. I mean, I'm thinking that level of volume is going to be perfectly acceptable. Ooh. Got that inner fender tucked in there. I don't know what I did there. All right. He's looking all right. He's feeling like a heavy boy. What did we say? Near to the beginning, when we began, we said 2.5 pounds of rotating. That has not changed because we weighed them and we installed them. We said that the body is about 2 pounds. And then we said that the rest of it was the rest, that we were approaching the 9-pound threshold. I said we weren't going to add any weight. It's not entirely true because I did find a little lighting module. The Traxxas lights are what I call be seen lights. They're not see by lights. I mean, well, I mean, you can't even really glare out the camera. I didn't know. I bought these in 2021. They've been floating around. And it pleases me to no end that I got them installed. There. Probably be right around 9 1/4, aka to the rest of the world 4207, 4,200 grams for y'alls. Battery. So definitely leans into why I would prefer 2200 as our go-to battery. Those 1300s are fairly close in overall dimension. They're basically a little bit shorter this way and a little bit shorter this way, but they're the same width. So 2200s are easy to pocket. You can carry a couple of them with you. I will probably put, one in there, one in my pocket. If you drive to a point where that battery dies, just take the one out of your pocket and you drive back. It should get you close enough to your vehicle that you don't have to carry your vehicle for any crazy distance. It's going to take a minute to cycle everything in. But 6 out of 7 isn't bad. Hopefully, I will have one of those shower thoughts where I'll just go, "Ayo!" That's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to get that front braced out. It's not hyper optimal that we can't turn any of our lights off. Our rock lights are on all the time. But as I said, they're not overwhelmingly bright. That belly is looking super flat up there. Pinion angles look tremendous. You can't even see the rear drive shaft. It's just gone up in between the links. I think he's ready. I think he's ready. I think we're ready. That Fender's best days are behind it. But not this Defender, not these Defenders. This Fender. Someday, hopefully not. I don't want to spend the money. I don't even know if Traxxas sells these individually or if they only sell them as a part of the whole thing. I don't want to have to defender this Defender on Defenders. I want him to stay a Fender Defender on Defenders. So, are we on high or low? Oh, it does have bright mode. I forgot about the switch. Fun. All right. So this is so I've got Bruce, my FJ, Grover, the Gate Rover, my Element Defender, and I've got my buggy, who's looking for a better name than the Moo from Economoo, but there you go. This is how you spend an entire afternoon prepping a vehicle, because it gets wibbly wobbly and timey-wimey real fast. Where I am now, what you're watching now is not where I am now. This is your present, my future, and also my past. So this guy he's ready to go. And I hope you join us for that. I hope you come on back. And I have an interior to put in this too. I could not bring myself to put that on the list today. We needed to get the functional stuff. And look how good those Defenders on those trails look. It's pretty nice. He's got those chunky wheels. I was that close to the gravel stage, and then it was this case. All right, come on back and see us. Thank you so much for joining us today. In between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your very best. Everybody. We'll see you next time here from the canyon, whether we be in this building, whether we be out on the rocks, or out on the trails. You can find us in one of those places, and we love to see you in all of them.